I don't even remember what the options were I chose this time. I think probably head to head.
It's just head to head.
So let's clarify for anybody who would be watching this what exactly that I'm trying to persuade.
Such a silly debate.
I know what it is, but it's topical on QallOut on the Facebook.
Okay. I don't know. I just heard of. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, the thing is, you've been debating for a while. So have I. You know, for a long time. I was in debate in high school, and let's say that I finished high school in 1976. So
I never graduated high school.
I didn't graduate either. I got a GED later when I joined the military. So that's why I got out. I mean, I would have graduated in 79, but I ended up, you know, my father said,
you know,
move out or
I don't even know what year I graduated. People always ask me that, and I'm like trying to think. All right, well, I can tell you my birthday, and then you can tell me like what year I should have graduated. Like, because I ended up doing homeschool. You know, I dropped out freshman year. Was working and traveling and shit, and then I guess one day when I was like 17 or 18, I decided, I probably should get a high school diploma. So I did all my 4 years of school that year, and then
my dad
I got a diploma.
Literally said to me when I was 16, 10th grade, move or drop out of school, and I wasn't in a position at that point to move, so I dropped out. But
why do you say that?
Because he dropped out when he was in the 8th grade, and he didn't value education at all. He didn't need it, so he didn't figure anybody else did.
That's funny. Well, how old are you? I guess that's like a generational thing.
I'm 56.
Oh, so your dad wasn't a baby boomer, I'm guessing?
My dad was born in 1941. I lose track of, you know, the.
Oh, interesting.
The nomenclature.
Oh, that sucks. I was. My parents were very supportive. They did not want me to drop out, but I just did anyways.
Well, you know, I love my parents, but well, I won't comment because, you know, the odds of them ever listening to this are pretty slim. But I love them. I don't want the feeling.
The odds of anyone watching this fucking video are pretty slim. I just want to talk to you guys. I like you.
I like you too. And that's why, you know, I think you're doing yourself no favors by your projected attitude. And whether that attitude is 100% authentic or not, you're not helping yourself, because we both debate for the same reason. We debate for the same selfish reason, which is to increase our own knowledge, our own education. And that's why I debate, and I'm blunt about it. But if people don't feel on the offensive when they're debating, the debate is more productive. At least that's what, you know, I've concluded after many years of debating. And even the names of your debates seem constructed at times. There's one, and I don't remember the exact topic, but it's basically, I'm right about this and about anything else that I debate as well. You know, that sort of embedded subtext in the topic.
Well, no, that was actually, I said I can rationally defend anarcho-capitalism or any belief that I have, but it's true. Like, there's nothing that I feel strongly about that I haven't thought about before or talked about.
Same here.
Like, like, I don't have beliefs that I just have, you know, like a lot of people just have these beliefs, and when you ask them about, like, okay, well, why do you believe them? They're like, oh, I don't know. just believe it. And it's like,
I
okay.
just, I'm a believer that if you don't have to be confrontational in a debate, I mean, it's not that I didn't love listening to Christopher Hitchens when he was alive. And Christopher Hitchens was a charming asshole, right?
I know, it's funny. You know, I'm not even an atheist. A lot of people think I'm an atheist, but I'm really not. I'm not an atheist. It's just I just follow everything about atheism. Like,
so
you know, I've
connected
to the movement a long time ago. Huh?
You went to Liberty College, Liberty University?
Oh, briefly, yeah. I was gonna be an army chaplain. I was actually preaching at a church at the point.
Wow. Now that's, I don't remember the name of the gentleman. That's Bob Jones or what? I don't remember the name of the gentleman who has...
I think, I don't know, they keep sending us this card in the mail like every, like around Christmas time. We get a card with I guess it's the guy's son and his family or whatever. I think it is Bob Jones. I don't know. One of those.
I don't remember anymore. But so, you know, when I started debating, it was actually
that guy's name
on something called Usenet. Do you know what Usenet is or was? It's still around.
That's fucking old school. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I was on Usenet in the early 1980s. I would have to sneak into college libraries and use their, you know, networks. So on Usenet,
when they had like the threaded replies, you had to like click on each one.
It was insane. And then after Usenet, I ran a bulletin board for a number of years that was primarily for debate. You know, this was before.
What was that called?
What's that?
What was that called?
It was called New Worlds BBS. It was in Sacramento, California. And at the time, you know, but we're talking about the mid 1980s. So, you know, it was dial up, 300 baud. But a lot of people aren't aware of BBSs, but there was a time before anybody had internet access at home that there was a huge, actually worldwide network of just people's PCs, largely on bulletin boards, and the network was called FidoNet. I don't even remember why. We're talking about a long time ago. So I went from...
I was born in 85, so...
Yeah, so about the time you were born, I was already debating online. And then after BBS's, about 1993 time frame, I was still on BBS's and still on Usenet, but I was also on Internet Relay Chat, which still exists. But and there was lots of, you know, the early atheists, you know, the early, what do you want to say, modern atheists who were on social media. That was all early social media. That's where most of us cut our teeth on debating, especially about religion. And, you know, I mean, there was literally a guy on IRC, and his nickname, he was actually the owner and moderator of the channel, but his nickname was I fuck the skull of Jesus. Right? That was his name. And, you know, so anybody who was a Christian who would log into the page, and even then Christians would log into atheist channels and atheists would log into Christian channels, but let's just say there were very few very productive and or civil dialogues.
Yeah, and you know, my early experience with the internet is pretty much the same. You know, basically everyone was just trolling at the time, and it wasn't until much later that you started hearing like these news stories like, oh, there's racists on the internet, there's sexists on the internet. It's like, holy shit, where the fuck have you guys been? Like,
believe it or not, Usenet, before spam, I know that sounds stupid, but before, I think it was actually 2 lawyers who spammed their business on Usenet, and sort of are responsible for the whole spam phenomenon. Usenet actually used to have some really highbrow conversation, but suddenly it became cheap. Everybody became aware of it, and every pimpled teenager masturbating in his parents' bedroom, or excuse me, in his parents' basement, suddenly decided to contribute. I'd run a bulletin board for a couple of years at that time, in which you needed no password to log in. Anybody could log in and leave messages in my
Oh
forum.
yeah, I remember that. Like early chat rooms, you just used to have just make a name. That's it. You're in.
There was no problem. But
you just make a new one.
one day, the conversations were intelligent, and one day, modems. Nobody uses modems anymore, but modems got massively less expensive. So I paid, this is going to maybe shock you, for my first 300 baud modem, which is only thousands of times literally slower than what you trivially connect that now. I paid $700 for the modem by itself, right? And then my 2400 baud modem, I paid about $700 for. But then my 9600 baud modem, I paid about $400 for. And suddenly there was 14.4 modems and 56K modems. And suddenly they were like $150. And at about that time, everybody bought one. So on my bulletin boards, where previously I had usernames like Pluto and John Adams and whatnot, suddenly I had people logging in with usernames. I could watch them apply for their account. I'd be sitting there in front of my monitor, and I could read as they applied for my account or applied for an account, and they would pick a username, and it would be "I jack off my dog," or Wizzy the Wizard.
Do you know why? Do you know why it was like that? When people first got the internet, it was a place where like free speech was still like there were no social consequences of any kind.
None at all.
Saying whatever you want, like really, really free speech. So people were like, as soon as they got that freedom, they, it's like once you get a freedom, you just go crazy for a little bit, and then you kind of settle down. And that's what happened basically.
I was never, and maybe I should have been, but I was never that type of an asshole. I was an asshole in my own way. I still am in my own way.
The thing is, you weren't a kid though when you found the internet. Like a lot of these people are kids. Like,
that's true.
Like, they don't give a fuck. They're kids.
Most of them were kids. I was in my mid-20s at that point, early to mid-20s. So when by the time my own kids came along, they have no memory of life without the internet, and they're in their 30s. When they were 2, they would sit on their dad's lap and, type.
Wow, I guess we got the internet much later because I think I was about like 11. Maybe like 9.
1993 was the year that it became available at home.
Okay, maybe it was like 9 or 10. I don't know. I don't remember exactly when, but that's when we got internet, and it was so shitty back then. I remember maybe like by the time I was 12 or 13. No, yeah, 12. We had a compact Presario, And that's when I like first found like porn and shit. I was like, of course, the first fucking thing I'm looking for, of course, is goddamn porn.
Sure. Yeah.
On my 14.4K or wherever the fuck it was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now I'm in South Korea, and the internet here is so fast that it's, put it this way, I pay less for cable television, my landline, my my cell phones, and my internet access combined than I pay for internet in the US, and I can download an entire motion picture in about 4.5 minutes on a slow day.
Yeah. Yeah, they're fucking they're really high tech. I remember Vietnam's getting like that. We were paying like $10 a month for like everything, or maybe like $5 a month. I don't remember what it was, but it was cheap. Now I'm paying like 60 or 70. I get like fuck, what is my speed? I think it's 200 now. It was 100. Then I got up to like 300's the max. But apparently you can get up to a gig, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a gig now in Hawaii, but
this
it's a different company.
This is the fastest, available in the world, and it'd be faster if I was in the big city, but I'm in a small town.
What is your speed?
To be honest, offhand, I don't even know, because I think of it in relationship to what I can do, and I'll decide to download
hundreds of meg.
Oh, no, I'm in gigabit range or gigabyte range, actually. So it's really, really fast. I can download as an example, every season of Game of Thrones in high definition and download each episode not in one big file, but I can have like 70 downloads happening at the same time and download all of them in about 4.5 minutes. So, yeah.
Well, I can do that on my Xbox too, but I have to pay for it.
Well,
not that I'm opposed to piracy. Like, I absolutely support piracy. I don't even believe in intellectual property. It's just easier.
I'm just saying here, I've recently subscribed to Netflix here. Netflix has become available in Korea, and it's convenient. I can stream to my Xbox, so, and I only have an Xbox 360. It's old, but it works for what I use it for. So.
Yeah, are we going to talk about my debate style at some point?
Topic, it was, it's just, the idiom, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, which actually isn't true in the case of flies. You can catch more with vinegar, but you know what that means, and I just think that maybe you enjoy being obnoxious a little bit. Would that be incorrect?
Well, yes. I mean, and this goes back to, like, I think my childhood. It goes back, I think there's a variety of like in my life experiences. There's a variety of reasons why I choose not to do things that would probably make me more well-liked. I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I understand.
Being less of an asshole, I suppose. I don't know what kind of words you would describe.
Well, we got this is our second debate. I think it's our second one, maybe our third. We got along. So I was a little bit surprised subsequently when I watched some of your other videos.
Other debates?
Yes, debates. And I understand. Okay. this might seem like a tangent, but this is sort of my philosophy. There's intelligence and knowledge, and they're not the same thing. And intelligence or intellect is something that you're born with, but it can be increased to an extent. You know, recent evidence suggests that you can actually increase, your brain has a certain amount of plasticity that even in later in life, you can increase a person's intelligence. And you can obviously increase the amount of knowledge that a person possesses. But if you're not intelligent to begin with, what you do with the knowledge that you've collect isn't necessarily intelligent, right? So I hesitate to use the word stupid, but I am, because I'm talking conversational.
I think you're confusing intelligence and rationality. They're quite distinct. Well, in fact, many studies show that the highly intelligent are, in fact, slightly more irrational than the dumb.
Maybe. The only point I was sort of unsuccessfully making there is that there are stupid people, but it's more constructive to think of them as ignorant people. So an intelligent person, and you can even say a rational person if you want, if you provide them or they provide themselves with new data, with new information, sort of reduces their amount of ignorance.
You're really confusing intelligence and rationality. Like, okay, so intelligence is mostly genetic. You can't really get. It's hard. I mean, I guess it's possible at the margin.
Possible, but yeah.
Okay, right. But for the most part, it's innate. But rationality, on the other hand, is something that actually can be improved with very minimal training.
Of course.
It's just that people choose to be irrational. So, like, I actually don't have a problem with dumb people. I know I use the word dumb often, but what I'm really describing are the irrational people. For me, I just use dumb or stupid as like a shorthand word to describe irrational. People who are genuinely dumb are no more likely to be irrational than the highly intelligent. And the good thing about dumb people is that they're generally not interested in politics or philosophy or religious debate. So I generally don't have a problem with these people because they don't
encounter them.
Yeah, they're in their own world and they're fine. They're not bothering nobody. Go work the fields or fucking the mines or wherever.
I was just trying to establish that I understand your viewpoint there. I get it. But let's take the young earthers and the flat earthers. Now, the flat earthers,
I find them amusing. Like, I don't know. People have got the impression that I'm like mad at Terrence or no, not Terrence. Nelson. They get the impression that like I'm angry at him, but like for me, it's just amusing to talk to a younger. Like I had to go through this like when I first started debating when I was like 14 or whatever, and then again in like grads. Can you imagine debating a professor in grad school about whether or not the Earth is 7,000 years old, and then trying to take it seriously? Trying to be serious the whole time and pretend as though this is like serious discussion and seriously. Like, I'm trying, but I'm only human.
I'd like to try to unconflate some things, and maybe you'll disagree with but that's something that we can talk about. So a flat earther, and I know that we can't prove that the moon exists. I know logic behind that.
Yeah, we won't go into like the deep ends, but we'll
Yeah,
just stick
so
with, you know.
so I'm not gonna go there, but let's just say that to be a flat earther, you're willfully ignorant. You've gone out of your way to be stupid. You know,
I would say the same about young Earth creationists.
I wouldn't say the same for the young Earth creationist because of the matter of faith. And I don't necessarily think that it's stupid. I'm not, I'm the atheist. You're not.
It's irrational. It's not, stupid is a bad word. We use that word, but that's not the correct term to use. It's just irrational. That's all. It's irrational to believe that the Earth is 7,000 years old or that it's flat. Because there's a reason. Because it's impossible to be logically consistent with all of you. Like, if you applied an equal standard of evidence to all your beliefs as you are with like evolution or, you know, the Earth being round and things like that, basically nothing of what you believe would be accurate or true in your own mind.
You know, to the best of my ability, I try to apply the same standard of evidence / proof to all of my beliefs. I mean, literally I do. I'm not going to say that I'm always successful, but I think that's an important thing to do. It would be hypocritical of me not to. That's why, even as an atheist, I'm an agnostic atheist, by the way, if that makes any difference. I am not, and this seems contradictory, and in a way it is. I don't dismiss the concept of intelligent design out of hand. I don't believe in intelligent design, but it's not
a real theory. It's not a real theory. I mean, it's just a proposition. God could exist and he directed evolution. Okay, well, that doesn't make any prediction.
That's not what intelligent design proposes. Intelligent design only proposes that it's that based on the apparent design of the universe, that it's more likely that the universe required an intelligent designer than not. That pretty much sums it up. I have a friend right now at the Discovery Institute. Right now, he's a student there. So we talk about this from time to time. And I don't believe in God, but I don't. Okay, I believe that quite possibly there are other intelligent entities or beings in the universe. What about you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe in God, so it's kind of difficult. So yeah, I think there probably is aliens too, though. But not necessarily.
So I have to look at it from the atheist viewpoint. So I think to myself, well, okay, I don't know that there are, but it's not implausible to me that there are. I'm not even going to go so far as to say it's probable that there are. Just, maybe. And because I'm willing to accept that, I'm willing to accept that there could be intelligences out there in the universe that are effectively gods to me.
And likewise, I'm willing to accept the fact that my God experience could be completely the product of my imagination. I mean, there's always that possibility too.
So you have beings that are effectively gods, where I wouldn't be able to argue with them if they confronted me, who. And I don't like the whole outside of space and time argument because I have no reason to believe that either it have any meaning.
Just real quickly, ID is totally separate from young Earth creationism. Like
Totally,
totally different.
totally
Make
separate.
totally
Although
not even.
there's many there's a crossover because lots of your young Earthers believe in intelligent design.
Well, yeah,
And
because only because ID is consistent with their beliefs, anyways. Like ID was a way for them to be like, okay, young Earth creationism is basically indefensible at this point. We're gonna move to ID, because then we won't look like retards. So then we can tell it in school boards. And
I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't consider young Earth creationism necessarily as stupid as you do as a concept.
I do, because I mean there are so many different independent lines of science that say that's not the case. Like it's not just biology, it's not just chemistry, it's like physics tells us that too. Like everything tells us that.
I
Geology,
have
plate tectonics,
zero faith. I have
everything.
zero confidence in.
All science goes in one
I have
direction.
huge faith in science. I do, self-confess, in science, but in operational sciences. When we start talking about historical sciences, not even a little bit. The Big Bang is as interesting a conjecture to me as Santa Claus. It's literally unknowable.
You don't even know. What about physics? I mean, show me how physics says that the Earth could be 7,000 years old, or even better yet, all the planets were created exactly as they are now because evolution is not real, right? So everything was created
if you're willing to accept, you're the person.
Everything.
You believe in God, and I don't, right?
No, but listen to how silly this is. So everything was created according to its kind, right? And nothing evolves, right? Because evolution is fake. So everything was created according to its kind on the Earth, and then the sun was made. The sun came after the plants. So photosynthesis, like that, I don't know, but that's it's in Genesis. Go read it.
It sounds equally as ridiculous to me. There's lots of things that I don't believe that I simultaneously am not will. I don't believe in ghosts, in the Loch Ness Monster, in Bigfoot. I don't believe any of the UFO reports that I've ever read. I don't believe in.
Watch the new one on Netflix, because I don't believe in that bullshit either. I don't believe in anything about ghosts, period, or Bigfoot or anything like that. But I watched a UFO one on Netflix, and it just came out. Like it's brand new. I guess the guy got busted for child porn or something like that. So they had to release this before. I don't know, but just watch the new UFO thing, like the biggest doc that they have, and it's about some guy.
Okay, I'll
really
look at it.
Experience.
My mind is open about it, but
yeah, like I was watching, I was like, oh, that looks kind of stupid, but then like all the evidence, he's the guy that all the fucking crazy UFO people say that, like, okay, if there's anyone who is for sure has some fucking thing to do with UFOs, like just the sheer number of things that he's been involved with.
Is this the old man?
Say it's
around
one
for like
guy.
30 years. He's been around for a long, long time, and he has hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pictures over a long period of time.
No, he's actually not that old, but here's what I would Google search terms for you, because I can't think of his name at all, but Google search would be Netflix UFO documentary child porn. Like I bet if you put all those things in a string, you'll find exactly the guy that I'm talking about.
I don't even know if I want that in my search history, but yeah, sure. I'm just saying that even as a complete skeptic, and I am, I think it makes more sense to be skeptical than not. To me, it should be the default position for everything that's not pragmatic. I mean, I'm not skeptical that when I walk to Dunkin' Donuts tomorrow to meet some friends, that I'm going to not make it there, right? I accept on faith that the sun is going to rise tomorrow, etc., because I have pragmatic reasons to do so. Otherwise, I would fucking lock myself in the house and never leave again and have everything delivered, right? What you can do in Korea, I can have everything delivered, literally.
I lived in a Korean neighborhood in Vietnam.
So you know what I mean.
Yeah, we had 5 Taekwondo fucking dojos within our complex, which was sprawling.
So I'm just, where was I even going with that? So, you know, for me, skepticism should be the default rationally for everything that you don't have a pragmatic reason for accepting.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But that, because I think that, okay, every argument that I am ever in, regardless of how ludicrous the proposition of my opponent might be, I enter the argument in good faith, acknowledging that I might be wrong. Believe it or not, even if I was talking to a flat earther, because there exists a more...
That everything, like if you showed me a ghost, of course I would fucking believe it. I mean,
right.
There's no doubt about
so
it. Of course,
because I might be wrong, I find it in my own personal experience, and I'm suggesting that it would help you too. That's what this subject is about. I try to be respectful, even with the people who were drooling and, you know.
So that's where I disagree with you. And this is mostly due to my own personal life experiences. I just see very little value in irrational people. I mean, they're not people I want to hang out with. I don't want to talk to irrational people. I don't too much care about them at all. Really. I mean,
I don't talk to many of them, but when I am engaging someone in a debate, if I have already decided that they're wrong before the debate has begun, then it's faux debate. We're not really debating.
Let me clarify. When I say irrational people, I'm not talking about Nelson, by the way. Because actually, to me, it's actually a combination. I'm sorry. Irrational plus personally attacking me. Right? So, like, I make a distinction between the two. Like, yeah, I guess you can be irrational, and I'm gonna laugh only because I can't control my laughter, really. But that's not the irrational people that I'm saying I don't want to talk to and don't want to hang out with. What I'm talking about are the really petty and the people who are like really criticizing me, and they're always angry, and they always have some negative bullshit to me. Like, I recently had to block my uncle. I think he's the only person I've ever blocked before. But
you're breaking up just a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the volume was coming in and out. I can hear you again now. It's better.
Okay. So, like, I recently had to block my uncle because for, like, the last 2 years, he's just only been posting negative bullshit to me. Like, basically, he lost his mind over Hillary Clinton losing the election. So then he really stepped it up. But, like, no matter what the topic is, we could be talking about fucking quantum physics. We could be talking about black hole thermodynamics, and no matter what the fucking topic was, he would come in there and Bronson, you think you're so fucking smart, but you're just a dumb piece of shit, blah blah blah. And his comment was always the same. Like, it was never ever ever related to the topic. And so finally, I was just like, this guy's totally fucking irrational, fucking stupid. I don't want to talk to someone like this. I don't feel like I have to respect him. He would never talk to me like that in real life.
Exactly.
Like the odds of him getting slapped are really high. Fucking slap you right in your face.
I try to talk to people the same in real life as I would in person.
shit to me. Get your ass whooped.
Yeah. I have, frankly blocked, well, most of my family for those reasons. Yeah, it's.
I mean, are they?
I'm the black sheep liberal in the family, and you're breaking up again.
Oh, sorry. Oh, go ahead.
I
like I'm talking about the petty downvoters, who aren't even younger ages, but like they heard some other debate, like or it was about secession and not slavery. So
I want to clarify, Bronson, that yes, I have downvoted you, but
no, I don't think it's petty.
I actually disagree with you, right?
You, Terrence, and Nelson, I believe, are legit. Like you're not being petty and vindictive about it. So I'm not putting you in that category. I'm talking are the petty little, white TV. I don't like it.
Did you watch the debate today between the Christian presuppositionalist Eli, and it was sort of bizarre.
I took one look at the
it's bizarre because you can't really debate a presuppositionalist. It's not possible. They've decided beforehand that you're wrong. Yeah. Well, thank you for the chat.
Everything has gone according to
by God's decree. Everything. And that's not really a debatable subject.
That's not a debate.
Well, I've signed up for a debate with somebody just for my own amusement, and the proposition is, I'm going to get this wrong slightly, but the only way that you should eat steak is medium rare. And that's a fucking stupid subject. I know it's a stupid subject. I've accepted it just to see how it goes.
Somebody voted on this debate like way long ago, way before before we even started talking about whether or not I should change my debate style. Like before
some people have already voted.
Somebody there. Well, I see 67 to 33. Maybe I'm
really.
Wrong.
Oh, okay. I hadn't noticed. Yeah.
So it's like my point,
Yeah, basically, if you haven't, I blocked somebody here on Metafilter. Excuse me, on QallOut. His name was Meta something or other, who obviously was responding without having watched anything. And that's the way that I will always ban you. Don't fucking respond if you haven't bothered to listen to my point.
That's my view too. It's like, and these are the kinds of people that I'm talking about. People who didn't read your argument, didn't read your paper, didn't watch your video, but they have an opinion. In any case, these are the irrational fuckers I'm talking about.
Like the people on Amazon.
I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to be friends with them. It's just like you're to me. I have no use for you at all.
I read reviews on Amazon for books, and it will say, I haven't read the book, but I know that it contains swear words or something. They justify giving it a negative review, and they haven't read it, which, that type of, I can't go there.
I don't feel like I have to pander to those kinds of people.
Okay. I agree with you there. I just think you should try to be a nicer guy, because I think you are a nice guy who are sometimes not.
Well, but there's one thing, you've never personally attacked me. And so that makes all the difference between the way that I treat you. Like, okay, if you don't attack me, then I'm not going to attack you. Like, it's really that.
Okay. That's fair enough.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you. I'll talk to you later.